Okay. Good morning, everybody. What we're doing today is a live listing presentation. I'm going to go live for you on this. Let me get both my phones working. Let's see, wireless and cellular. Hold on one second. All right. Can y'all see me? You don't hear me. That's exactly what we're looking for. Great. And I'm all set. So I got my lead sheet. It's right here. In fact, my lead sheet looks exactly like this. And I'm going to give this to everybody in just a couple seconds. I've got to drop it in. I'm going to share my screen real quick. First thing that we're going to check on, though, that's important is I have been following up with Mr. John Jacobson since 5/11. Didn't get an answer. 5 that I did. We spoke, and he's ready to list his home. There's a lot of information, and this lead sheet is something you're going to get because right behind this lead sheet is my entire listing presentation, and that's what you're really interested in looking at. Now, this does not preclude or take away the idea of doing a listing presentation that where you have your presentation, you can present what you do as far as value being brought. I'm going to share that with you as well. You actually have access to all of it, which is, in my opinion, pretty cool. And I've got to grab the syllabus for you, and I'm going to drop that in there. So hang with me just a second, my good people. Sorry for this momentary delay. I should have had this done ahead of time. We're going to cover a lot today. This is Series 6, Working with Sellers, the actual listing presentation. Some of the things we're going to go over, the walkthrough using the lead sheet, the presentation, comparison, conversation, as well as doing the search. Now, I'm not going to dive deep into how to do the search. There's an entire class in the GPS Global Partners under the links and classes on how to set up a search. But I am going to show you my just the basics for that because I think it's important that you know how we're doing it, and then we'll flow into it. So real quick, let me get this to you guys because you need this syllabus. I had it up, but I actually took it down. Copy link. All right, we're in. Thank you guys so much for your patience. Great. Now you have the syllabus that I'm working off of, so everybody should be able to do the same thing I'm doing. Let's dive into this. First thing I got going on is I have just had this long conversation with this gentleman, and here is the conversation, how it goes. What's going on? He's moving to Deerfield, Illinois. Doesn't know an agent there. Now, what I put in yellow is I highlighted a couple things that are important to me as I'm going through the process of preparing. I believe that this person is a high I and a high D based on our conversation. His name is John Jacobson, and this is all his pertinent information. I think he's a high buy, high D. I know he's selling, but I also know he's buying, and he doesn't have an agent in Deerfield. Well, before my appointment, I called up Nancy Norland, who happens to be an agent I looked at in Deerfield. So I've actually got Nancy in queue that I'm probably going to be sending her a referral, and I'm going to talk to him about that. What's going on? They're moving, or he's moving to Deerfield, doesn't have an agent there. He explained a little bit more. I didn't write a lot of that down. I did ask him, hey, listen, John, when I get out there, I'm going to look at the MLS and I'm going to pull up tax records, but I want to ask you some questions because sometimes they're wrong. They're entered by humans. How many bedrooms, how many baths, how many square feet? Do you have a pool? How old is your roof? 22 years old. You know, that's a topic of conversation. How old is your AC and how the garage? Okay. Please tell me about any improvements. I put in wood floors, hard to read this. Wood floors, granite countertops, new AC in 2018, and the garage door opener. Great. If I could wave a wand, if you could wave a wand, when would you like to close? He wants to close July 15th. Now, y'all think about that. That's a very important question to ask because if you're asking somebody when do they want to close, the relevance to that is I'm going to go backwards. It takes 30 days to close on average. Let's say 30 is the number we're going to use. That brings them to June 15th. It's currently June 1st. I have 15 days at which to get this property active and under contract. Now, that's okay, but it's going to create some urgency as we're going through our conversation. And I will come back to that. You'll hear me say that in my listing presentation with him. Okay, so notes from the call. He follows Zillow. So Zillow's number is going to be very relevant. Would somebody do me a favor? Let's see, who's got access to another monitor, another screen? Anybody raise their hand? I want somebody to look up this address on Zillow. Don't tell me what the number is. Robert, do it. I figured that was you. It's 2374 Cypress Trace Circle, 32825. Don't give us the answer. Just hold on to it because we're going to actually, I haven't looked at it, but we're going to come back to it. I would normally look this over I didn't today because I was prepping, so I'm sorry about that. He works from home. He grew up in the area, hasn't been there since 1982. He's going to sail the Loop. He is downsizing. Golf, skiing, and tennis are what he likes. His wife will be there too at the listing presentation, which is great. I have to ask that. Now, that is my big push. I've got to get this information. Now, the next thing I've got to do is I need to get into the MLS and I need to start looking for this home. So I'm going to prepare my MLS and I've got these searches saved. So I'm going to go to my save search. And this is called listing class. Now, here is the results. And in the results, I'll click on the criteria. I happen to know he has a 2,072 square foot home. Again, I'm not going to spend a ton of time in here. I'm going to go back from 0 to 180 days. I've selected single family home. That is my only criteria to start with. And then I'm going to put a map around the entire community. Now, if you don't know the entire community, get in your car and drive it. If you do know the entire community, you can take a look. And I always look at entrances. There's an entrance. And there's an entrance. And there's an entrance. So there's 3 entrances. I'm assuming this is all one big community. It is. Trust me on that one. That's accurate. What we're going to do at this point is I've got to determine what homes are available. Now, our subject property is right here. I'll zoom in. This is our subject home, that one right there. Actually, it's probably the one over there. Bottom line, it doesn't really matter. That's our subject property, and that's the one we're going to use. Now, obviously, I've got a sold or a pending that's in here in this neighborhood. So let's take a look at that. 2,200 square feet in the neighborhood pending? Absolutely. And the reason I would use a pending is because I know it's going to go under, it's under contract, and I assume that it will close prior to my closing date. In fact, I've already looked at that one. That pending closes on June 15th. Show of hands, is June 15th going to be before the appraisal is probably completed on a home I have not listed yet? I think it's going to be before. If I list it in a week, that gives me 7 days for that to close. And then my appraisal will be after 7 days because first rule inspections, my appraisals are 14 days out. So pendings are relevant if they're closing in the right time. I happen to know that this property as well, look at this. This is 1,900 square feet. It's pending. I'm absolutely going to use that one too. Now, what I'm looking for under my results, and I'll go very quickly on this, is I'm looking for the most current sales. I usually start with the most expensive and work my way back. Let's see, 510. This is on Sunset Terrace, 2,400 square feet. That is pushing 20%. If I were an appraiser, I'd find one that's closer rather than further away because that's really close. And this is interesting. It has a pool. So now it's got 2 strikes against us. It's at the top of my pushing of 20%. I don't want to use a home that's 20% larger or smaller. And it has a pool, which my home does not. So I'm going to think if I can find something better, I wouldn't use that one. The other ones that closed in May right here on Mossy Creek, 1,600. That's a real probability. However, let's take a look at these. I have, let's see, pending right here, Sail Away, 2,054. Okay, that's almost exactly the same. I would absolutely select that one, but I'm not sure where it is on the map. So let's take a look. Now, I happen to know that my 2 communities I selected within my neighborhood are right here. Sail Away, as a bird flies, is right there. This is a possibility, but that's 3,000 or 2,400. Remember, we refused that one. We said that's probably too much. And this one is 3,000. That's definitely too much. So that's kind of my next one that I would choose as a periphery. I go back to my results. Branchwater is a real probability as well. Any of these would be fine. Now, I'm going to print these up, and I'm going to have these when I go with my binder, everything I need right back here, because I'm going to do live adjustments on the actual properties. Okay, so I have a pretty good idea at this point that I've got 1,900, 2,200. Now, this one I'm going to have to adjust. I'll probably adjust 2,200. By the way, they're all closing in the time frame that I can use, so I'm not bad. I prefer to use pendings, and I always like to see how many days on market. Is it competitive? If it's 50 days, like this one, Amaryllis, 200 or 309 days on market. If that went under contract right now, I don't think it's going to sell for the asking price. Who the heck would pay it? But if I'm competitive within 7 days, 5,370, I'm pretty sure it's right close to asking price. Logical, makes sense, right? So this is relevant information that we're surmising an answer to. when these close before our listing or before our closing, before we're going to do our appraisal, I would take a look at these. So I'm going to do some quick adjustments. This one, Sail Away. 2,059 square feet, no adjustment, sold for $459. We're going to assume it was $460 is the sale price. Branchwater, 1,700, sold for $460, but it's 300 square feet less. That's $45,000. Okay, realistically, can we make that one jump up to 500? Actually, we could if we're adjusting, but I don't take the highs and the lows. I do an average on there. Oh, by the way, I asked him what he thought his home's value was, and it was 475. Robert, what was the number that you found out for Zillow?
Zillow is 438,100, estimate range 415 to 460.
Okay, so 438 is what Zillow is saying. I've got right here, without question, 459 or 460. I have right here higher than 460. This one in Cypress Springs is a little bit larger. It's 200 square feet larger. So I'm going to take that to 425. And this one's about 100 square feet smaller, and I'm going to take that one to 415. So I've got 415, 425, 460, and then higher. And I will definitely get rid of Branchwater because it's too far away. I would go with these. These are the most similar homes. And in doing this, 460, 425, 430, I think that I could probably push this home to 450 and maybe 460 without too much issue. And I have this one to support it on Branchwater. Does that make sense to everybody what I did? I'm going to do just a mental adjustment on that. He said 475. Zillow says 430. I'm saying 450, 460. 450, it's sold all day long. 460, I think it'll sell. Robert, go ahead.
Also another resource, you have RPR. Their estimate value is 449,940 at a 5-star confidence.
And that's right about where we're going to finish up on that one. So I've got this prepared ahead of time, folks. This is important to me. I'm going to show up and I'm going to have this information. I'm also going to have the listings that I think he's going to choose, and I'm going to help him choose because he's going to choose it. By the way, Branchwater really throws a monkey wrench in this one. I would dig into it and learn a lot more. We're going to pretend that it doesn't exist because it's super complex if we do. So again, 460, 425, 415 plus or minus. So average of that 430, but I'm going to push to 460 because we don't have anything on the market. And the reason I can say that is I also have in my saved searches all the active homes that we can talk about as well. And I can pull up when we're doing our comp analysis. I've searched by zip code within in the criteria on this. Remember, I've got a 2,000 square foot home. I did 1,500 to 2,700 square feet. What's active, single family. These are my results. This is our competition. At 450, we could get Carabella with a pool. Twilight at 470 with a pool. By the way, that's a shit house. I already looked at that one. I would say that one's not very good in competition. I'm going to go through these and take a look. What is my value proposition? We can go across the street at Andover for 419, but I wouldn't do that. You're going to need to know, and this is where you're going to spend your time. You're not going to regurgitate all of it. You're going to use it as you need it. Please don't feel that you need to say, I'm going to tell you everything, because they don't want to hear everything. He's a high I, high D. It's important. I know that. I'm going to talk about what does it feel like when we get under contract? How's this make you feel when we sell your home? And when he asks me facts, I'm going to say, here's the facts. This is it. Do you want me to go into detail, or are you good with that? I'm good with that. I'm going to use his D to help me in my listing presentation. Okay, folks, I'm good to go. I'm ready to go. So I have this. This is all my information. I am bringing, which is actually at the front door, I'm bringing my binder with me, my pre-listing package, because that's already been sent out. And I'll show you what's in there because I'm going to go grab that and then I'm going to end up coming back. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go knock on the door because that's actually relevant and there's a script involved in that. So let's see if I can make this work. My goal is to be able to do this live for you. So I'll be right back. Can you hear me? I can't see y'all, so somebody has to say, yes, I can.
Yes.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Oh, shit, I'm still sharing my screen, aren't I?
Screen share.
Hold on. If anybody's going to edit this, edit that part out. That's shit. All right, now can you see me?
Yes.
Terrific. Rob, am I standing straight up and down, or am I, does it work if I go this way? Can you see me regular?
That's much better.
Awesome. All right. So here I am at the house. My listing appointment is at 8:52, and I'm 1 minute early. So when I come up, first thing I'm gonna do is knock on the door. Probably make my dog freak out. Take about 5 steps away from the door. Y'all see where I am at this point? This is important. Back turn. The reason for it, we're not in their face. The other option is if they're at the front door, they walk out, and I'm standing right here going, "Hi, how are you? You ready to go? Let's talk about this." It's kind of freaky. They answer the door, come back around, catch my breath, say, "Hey, my name's George. It's great to meet you properly. How are you doing, John? It's a pleasure." George. John's like, "Well, let's come on in." I said, "Great, John. I'd love to." Now, we don't know what John's going to say, and it may get a little awkward. So you know what? Probably the best thing we can do at this point, John, I'd love to take a tour of the house. By the way, do you happen to have that book I sent over to you? Yes, I do. Terrific. So that's great. So I grab this, I put my stuff down, I get my clipboard out, which has everything on it, and I open up the book and I look for it and I say, wow, did he fill anything out? We're going to cover what's in the book. We covered it last week. I'm going to talk about it. That's the home improvements. The home improvements, if that's filled out, you have a high probability that you're going to take this listing because he's already spent time doing it. Everybody loves to tell you about it. When I say I'm coming over, I said I'll send something over to you. Please review it. And also, if you would, in the very first page, right inside, is a list of improvements you've done in your home. I'd love to know what you've done to your home since you've owned it. If this is filled out, he's already ready to help. Now, I'm going to pretend that this is my clipboard. It's actually back in the other room. And we're going to go through the house. And this process of going through the house is going to take around 10 minutes. And I'm looking for information on the property. Please tell me everything you've upgraded. I'm going to be using all of this in my marketing. And as I'm walking through the property, I'm taking a lot of notes. I also like to ask, may I please take some notes? Wow, you have a lovely pool. That's beautiful. That's great. Oh my gosh, that's going to look terrific in photos. This is going to be a key part. I also like to tell somebody, this is where they're going to buy the home. They'll be standing right here. You can be on camera if you're on this, Jack. By the way, that's my lovely wife, Jackie. So I'm standing right here. I'm going to say, well, this is probably where somebody's going to buy their home. That's their view. They're going to sit right here and say, okay, this is what I want. You can say that if you want to or not. So I'm walking through the house. I'm taking great notes as I go. We're going to pretend that we're done with that part. I'm going to go back and say, all right, John, let's sit down at the kitchen table, have a conversation. John, thank you so much for having me over. Thank you for grabbing this for me as well. I wanted to review some of the things that we spoke about. You're going to X and Y and when you have to be there. This is all part of the process. Now I can sit back and say to him, so John, there's 3 things I really want to cover today in our conversation. The first is I want to talk about marketing. I also want to talk about communication. And of course, we need to have a conversation on the pricing structure for your home. Would that be okay with you? He's like, yeah, that'd be terrific. I said, okay. So I brought this over to you. You indicated to me that you had a chance to take a look at it. Thank you so much for filling out the information in here on for the upgrades that you've done. By the way, when it goes out, it has a little handwritten note right here that says, please help me and give me ideas of what you've done for the upgrade. I really want that filled out. So I said, I'm going to grab this real quick, John, and let's start talking about your priorities. You told me you have to move by X date. That's great. Problem is, though, it takes about 30 days to put something under contract. And it takes a couple of days to get everything prepared. After we're done talking, I would like to talk to you about the time frame issue and getting the things you needed done to make sure your house is properly exposed. What I'm getting to is going to be the photography, and I'll cover that for you shortly. So as we're sitting down, I said, the first thing I want to talk about is the marketing. John, we do extraordinary marketing. Would you like me, catch this, would you like me to go through the whole circle, dog and pony show of what we do in marketing? I covered a great amount of it in here. Or do you have a high level of confidence that we actually know what we're doing and we can definitely get your home exposed to anybody that's looking for it? If they say, I'd love for you to go through it, awesome. I am fully prepared to give him my marketing presentation. Now, I'm not going to go through full on with this one, but I am absolutely going to share with you what it looks like because I think it's important you have it. In here is the Philbeck PowerPoint slide deck. And I'll bring that over for you right now. Let's see. Y'all seeing that? That should be the slide deck. Is that correct? Give me a thumbs up if you're seeing the slide deck right here. Yes? No? Anybody? Okay, cool. So this is the cover sheet for that slide deck. We jump right into marketing. It's the first thing we talk about. By the way, all of this, for those that can't see me, all of this is inside of here. I don't absolutely have to have this, but I do have it and you have it. In fact, our PowerPoint presentation is part of this syllabus. Tiffany, the syllabus is in the chat. Drop it in the daily downloads because they're going to need this for sure. Everything that I'm talking about, you have access to. So I can go through. I talk about Zillow, the big listing, syndication, how we put out. This is really what sells a home. Please have no misunderstanding. Don't tell your client that, but the truth of the matter, that's it. Where buyers come from. You're an international listing. And by the way, you can become an international listing very, very easily. You can sign up for like $90 a year. And it translates all of them. You put in this whatever you want, social media, direct mail, certified pricing, sale, certified home increased sale price, certified home inspections. We actually took that out. The next one is preparation and photography. Jackie is a staging expert. You can become one as well if you choose to. I love this. Different pictures of the same home. This is the difference between it. I like this because it gives me a talking point. Here's some amazing professional photography right here. And these are the award winners. This is just fun. Again, they're yours. I call this the hamper. I call this the pooper. This is the lagoon pool and the drive-by shooting. Yeah, this is a front photo. He locked his car. The neighborhood was that good. I did that for fun. Whatever the case may be, professional photography, open house is great. Communication. So when I get to this slide, when I'm done with this, the question I'm going to ask him, I said, so John, I have to ask you, are you satisfied that that's the kind of marketing you're looking for to make sure your home sells for top dollar within your time frame? If he says no, then ask him what else does he want, but he won't. They never do. They'll say, yeah, that's exactly what I'm wearing. Terrific. The next thing I want to talk about is communication. I can show you a slide deck on that one. It's important you ask this because they may not want a slide deck at this point. They may say, no, that was enough. I don't need to be doing that anymore, especially a D, which is a high driver personality. Said, no, just tell me about it. I'd love to. Bottom line is, John, what's going to happen is we're going to over communicate. In fact, that first week, as we're preparing to get your home on the market, there's a good chance it's either we're going to communicate with you. I'm going to communicate with you either by a phone call or a text and just an update of what's happening almost daily. And then once it's listed for that first week, the same thing. I need you to know everything that's going on. I want you 100% engaged in this as much as you're willing to be engaged. And please feel free to tell me to lighten up, George, stop communicating, but I refuse to not give you the information that you need to have making the best decisions. How does that sound to you? Because that's terrific. So great. So we've covered communication. Let's get into the pricing of the property. This is the part everybody freaks out at. Okay. Here's what I want you guys to do. So I'm going to open up my home. What we're going to do, John, is we're going to take a look at your home based on what an appraiser will look at, because 90% of the properties have to have an appraisal to close. That means 90% of the homes that are being purchased have a mortgage. So we have a 9 out of 10 chance that we're going to need to make sure that our home appraises and have an idea of what that appraisal is. That doesn't mean we have to list it there, but we have to know what it's going to come back to when we appraise it. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Now, John, when you and I spoke earlier, you said you were interested in selling your home for about $475,000. That's correct. Great. Let's take a look. I also have the information from Zillow. Have you looked at them on their price? Yeah, they say it's $430,000. Remember, I already know the price in my mind. I'm about $460,000 at this point. So, John, I agree with you. I think Zillow's whacked. I have another software that I use that generates prices called RPR. They're very, very effective. We're going to cover that too. But let's you and I take a look at the property. I'm going to share now. Now, please remember, some of this we've already filled out. Oh, no, we haven't. That's awesome. So I'm going to go back to my saved searches. I have this save form, and this is a listing class, and here are my results. So John, let me explain how an appraisal works. An appraiser picks a home, the home you're in, and what they do is they go out in a circle. They try and stay within the community. They try and stay within 20% margin, plus or minus, either smaller or larger. If it's got a pool, they want a home that has a pool. If it doesn't have a pool, they want a home that doesn't have a pool. I'm setting him up for knowing what to do on this. So let's talk about the criteria, John. I picked homes that are between, or actually, no, I picked homes. I didn't pick any homes. I just said, I'm going to go just with a map search of your home. And here's the map area that we picked. I stayed within inside of Cypress Springs. That's the name of this community. Your home is right here. So obviously we got to take a look at the homes that are right within that neighborhood. The first one in Cypress Springs, you probably know about this one. There we go. This is 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1900. That definitely is something an appraiser is going to look at. By the way, I already looked at this. This home is going to close in June 15th. So this will be a viable comparison for your home. There's another one that's pending right down the street from you. This is 2200. So that's within our 20% range. And since it's in the community, doesn't have a pool, same thing. I'm going to speed this up so you're not bored with it. But what I'm doing at this point is I'm identifying the homes. And now, John, we have to pick other homes that are around us. Let's take a look at this one at 550, 2400. That's kind of pushing it. But, well, you know, real quick, let's take a look at this. Ooh, it's got a pool. An appraiser probably wouldn't use that if they didn't have to. So for this point right now, unless we can't find something else, let's not do it. Now, by the way, just so you all know, everything south of this line I'm going on, really, basically everything up in this corner here, these are all built in the 90s. These are all built in the 2000s. I can cross over that if it's similar size square footage because I'm far enough away. It's not like I'm dealing a 2020 to a 2000 home. But because these are one community and they're 20 years old and 30 years old, it's acceptable for me to make that jump, but I will have to adjust for it. So this one at 580, let's look at that. We said 3,200, that doesn't work. Let's go to this one, 449. Oh my God, 2,059. That's exactly right. Does it have a pool? The answer is no, it doesn't have a pool. I know that already. So I'm going to select this property. We have the 3 homes. And John, I have to tell you, this is important, guys. I have to tell you, John, that the reason I can't really go out is an appraiser is going to start in your neighborhood. They're going to stay with the homes that are similar to yours, but closer, and they prefer closer in the same community. We can do that. And since this one is pending, I believe that these are the 3 properties an appraiser is going to use. They're all very similar in square footage. Y'all remember this? I have those properties already behind me. I printed up the ones he's going to choose because he doesn't really have a choice. And this is important. If you're researching your property well, you're going to have a very good idea on what home the seller has to choose. If you set the current parameters up right, the seller will follow your lead. They will choose the homes you've got. Now, I would print up 4, and here's why. Because I want to make sure I'm prepared for this. He may say, well, what about this one on Branchwater, 1,700 for 459? And that one's pending as well. So that's a viable one. Let's take a look at it. Now, I've already gone through this property, so I can tell you, and I'm just going to click on it. It is highly upgraded and on the water, which is tremendous. So is ours. It's just a great home. I'm going to have to go condition on that one and say would have to adjust for that. On the water, a lot of adjustments. I'm going to make this price somewhere around 470, but the other homes adjusted as well. So now we're sitting down. So John, let's do some adjustment on this one. This is hard for y'all to read. I know that. Let's see if I can make it bigger. There we go. That may be able to help. That first home we're looking at is 1,971 square feet. We could probably adjust about $15,000 or $150 a square foot for 100 square feet. That brings this up. Sold price, because it's 0 days on the market, I'm pretty sure it's sold for $405. That's going to make $420. This one is $459, 7 days on the market. I'm going to assume it's sold full price, maybe a touch more, but I'll go with full price. And it's 2,000 or 200 square feet larger, actually 150. So that's 22,500 or 150 times 150 square feet times $150 a square foot. That's my adjustment. Your adjustment may be a little bit different. At that point, I can bring this property from 459, 460. I'm going to bring that down to about 440. So I have 425, 440. And on this one, Same thing, same everything, 5 days. I'm assuming it's the same. I've got 460, 425, 440, 460. I think your home is going to fall somewhere in there. And then I ask the question, it goes like this. Based on that, do you agree that those are the homes that an appraiser will use? The answer is almost always, yes, I do. That's great. They picked them based on the adjustments or what an appraiser is going to adjust for. And you may go deeper into it. By the way, I write the adjustments on the bottom of the MLS and I adjust it right there in writing. I already know what I'm adjusting for. So I've got him to the point where he's going to say, well, I'd really like to list it at 460. Show of hands, the people I can see at 460, would you list this home considering it will appraise and there's nothing available in the market? I'm saying heck yes all day long. No, not even a question mark. Okay. Now, one of the things I do in this is called my grid. It's called the bull report. I don't know why, but I can show the commissions as well if you choose to. And the one that sold for the most had a 3% commission. So John, maybe you should consider offering 3% to the buyer side. It's up to you. The ones that are selling for less tend to offer a little bit less in commission. The highest sales are offering the most. So John, my question, oh, sorry, you can't see this. I apologize. This is called my bull report. It's just a report that I created in the MLS and it has all the information I really use. And I do have the commission in here. So I can show to him, I said, John, the homes that are selling for the most amount of money have higher commission. Have you thought about maybe offering more? You can offer 2.5% or you can offer 3%. Well, what do you charge? That's completely up to you, John. Whatever you decide to offer to the buyer side, we co-broke the same amount. So you're always in control. Well, would you do it for 2%? I think, John, that would cause you harm. I wouldn't want to do it at 2% because I think that what will happen is your home isn't going to sell very much as fast and it's not going to sell for as much. And the truth of the matter is 2%, we're looking at about $7,000, $8,000. I can do that with my eyes closed and just negotiating. So it's not like you're going to lose money. You're going to make money on this. Now, as the market shifts, that conversation becomes even more powerful. You want the buyer agent working on your behalf as well. And John, if we offer 2%, the buyer agent is going to be saying, well, I can actually sell another home and make more money. And right now it's tough out there. There's a lot of agents that aren't doing very well, and they would absolutely steer their buyer, although they shouldn't, for more money. And don't you want to have that buyer agent being your champion and your ally saying, this is the best home? To do that, again, it's up to you. You can offer 3%. You can offer 2.5%. 3% will get you a little more pull. Well, what do you charge? I charge whatever you co-broke to the other agents. 3% is the standard in the industry. Sometimes it's 2.5%, but it's up to you. I don't really care. I'm not interested in the money. I'm interested in making sure your home sells. That's my usual get out when we have those conversations. We're now at the point in the next conversation. The next question that comes up is he's going to say to me, or I'm going to say to him, well, what's next? I got to find it. So I'm back to my lead sheet. This is my lead sheet. It's also my listing presentation. I want to walk you through this part of the presentation because this is the part that in my mind is the most important, and this will save you a ton of time. We're almost done, by the way. For all of you that are sticking around, awesome. Everything I've just spoken about is on the syllabus that Tiffany's dropping again. Doesn't seem like we can get, needs says permission. Ooh, thank you very much. Kristen, I appreciate that. So everybody hang tight on that sheet. I'm going to go through when we're done, and I'm going to make sure that permission is granted for everybody on there. So hang tight. I'll go grant permission for everybody in just a few minutes, and I'm going to drop things in with permission after that too. So I'm going to redo the sheet. Bear with me. We'll get to it in a bit. What you don't have, hang tight. And it's also going to be available in the daily downloads of the very first part. Thank you, Tiff, but hang tight. I've got to redo that before we drop it again. All right. So let's see. We're going to now talk about the lead sheet. In this lead sheet now comes my listing presentation. This is where I filled everything out. That's this page. And right behind it is my actual listing presentation. So I like to say this to whoever I'm working with. So John, most people want to know what the next steps are. May I explain them to you? Everybody says yes. You're not going to have any pushback. I said, okay, terrific. So this is it. Well, there's a couple things we're going to talk about: the pre-listing phase, the active phase, and the under contract phase. The very first thing is the authorization or the paperwork. That allows me to start working and start getting your property kind of prepared and ready. And the first thing we're going to do, and I put a check mark by that, I covered the paperwork. The first thing we're going to do is schedule photos and time, and we're going to schedule the photos and make sure that we're on the same page. So with your permission, I'm going to text my photographer right now. Would it be possible, today's Thursday, could we possibly schedule photos for Saturday? Now, do y'all get that that's an assumptive close? He goes, well, Monday would actually be better. Then schedule him for Monday. But if he says yes, you're going to list the home. You're already there. He agreed to the price. He agreed to the marketing. He agreed to the communication. Why wouldn't you be listing the home? So again, one more time, John, most people, this is neuro-linguistic programming. Most people really want to know what's the next step at this point. May I explain it to you? Yeah, please do. Okay. The first thing is I want to make sure we cover the authorization or the paperwork. And that basically we determine exactly when you want it sold, what price you want to place on the home. I think we've kind of narrowed it down to the 600 or 460,000. Following that, though, is the photographs. I'd love to schedule my photographer. Let me text him right now. Was there any chance we can schedule the photos for Saturday? Well, Monday. All right, Monday would be great. After the photos are all squared away, you're going to get some introductions from some of my business partners, my transaction manager and my other staff members. And if it's okay with you, John, I'm going to put a sign in the front yard. I'd like to kind of center it right there. Any issues with the pipes? Are you okay with that? We've never lost a pipe before, but I want to check. Center front yard, good with you? Yeah, that's terrific. Put a check mark by it. John, I'd like to use a lockbox with your blessing, and I'd like to explain how and why I choose to use a lockbox. Couple things. A lockbox gives us control and also knowledge. The second an agent opens up that lockbox, I know they're in the property and I am already texting and communicating with them, helping them to sell your home. Something as simple as, hey, it's George. Thanks for showing this great home at Cypress Trace. I am here to answer any questions. Don't miss the view from the backyard. It's spectacular. We're here as your partners. Let us know. We're starting to create that. And here's why. Because of that relationship, we're able to get better feedback for you than most agents. Most agents get feedback 10 or 12% of the time. We average around 30% of the time because we're creating relationships about your home. That's my spiel on there. We want people to schedule an appointment and then we'll approve it for you however you handle your scheduling. What I normally do is say, I'd love to have the home free in this market Saturday and Sunday for an open house. We'll list it on Thursday. We'll have it active on Thursday, no showings on Friday for preparation, and we'll push everybody to an open house on Saturday and Sunday so that we inconvenience you the least amount. My goal would be to get enough people in on Saturday and Sunday because it'll be fully exposed that we'd be able to get multiple offers and work for it or get it contracted for you. That's my conversation. I challenge every one of you. This goes off camera for this. My first listing presentation, I flopped so bad because I didn't practice. For everybody that's listening to this, if you're not practicing your listing presentation in front of a live person all the time, there's a very good chance you're not going to succeed when you're looking at $10,000 or $15,000 on the line that you deserve. Practice what you're going to do. And when you're doing it, my ex-wife, God bless her, she can still do the listing presentation. Okay, it's a different one now because it's evolved, but that's what I'm talking about with practicing. You must practice this. So print this up, build up your pre-listing package, have everything set up, have it squared away, be prepared, and then practice with somebody just like I'm doing with you. Okay, so we've covered that. Now, John, your first showing, I really want to cover that. It's not going to be real. What I'm going to do is I'm going to schedule a showing for 9 o'clock, the day before we go, or the day we go listed for 9 o'clock. I want you to approve it. It's not real. I'll text you that it's me. The reason I'm doing that is I want you to see the process. Now, it's important when we do schedule a showing. If you're here, I don't want you to leave the house if we're approving a showing between 3 and 4. I will let the agent know that the owner possibly will be there. Okay, pay attention to this. And here's why. If they say between 3 and 4, y'all will catch this in a second. In real estate speak, because almost every real estate agent out there is always late, except for me. I was 1 minute early because I'm never late when it comes to something as important as this. They're always late. So between 3 and 4, you just hang out, be ready for them. When they ring the bell, they'll already know that you may be there. Say, listen, give me a minute. They already know that you're going to take a moment to get out of the house. Say, please use your key to unlock the lockbox so that you can secure the property, and I'll go out through the garage. Now you know exactly who their car is. You're not inconvenienced for an hour with them showing up at 4:15. Folks, this is an important conversation. That's why it's here. If not, they will call you. That agent said they'd be here at 3 and they didn't show up till 4:15. And now you got a pissed off seller as opposed to one that's finding humor in it. I talk about what to say, the importance of a lockbox. We're going to provide feedback. I cover that. Our feedback is by every Wednesday at a minimum. You're going to get a full report. And I use something called Snagit, and I actually do a live video on my MLS while I'm talking to them about what's going on in the current market. More of that will come in a little bit. And obviously showing feedback. Now, I have a couple other things I wanted to ask you. How do you feel about open houses? Do not say we do great open houses, please. Some people don't like them. Ask the question, how do you feel about open houses? Oh, I love them. We're the best. I don't like them. I don't blame you. Chameleon. You have to be a chameleon. Okay. Offer instructions. Every single person submitting an offer will follow a set format. In fact, one of the things that we want to do, and we always vet every offer, which we're going to talk about as well, is we make sure that their offer is 7 days for inspection, 14 days for appraisal, and 21 days for loan commitment. We'll, of course, vet out their lender, but that's our mission. We may make adjustments, but we want to have those offers really, really tight. We give them detailed instructions. They all submit them the same way. There are 4 different kinds of offers we're probably going to entertain, either a cash, which is great, conventional, which is great, FHA, which is great, and even a VA is great. In walking through your house, I see no issues with VA and convention or an FHA. I think your home is going to be terrific. So I'd like to say, to open it up for as many people, I'm going to suggest that all offers are done. When an offer comes through, before we present it to you, we call the lender and we dig in to make sure that this is a valid thing. We ask them questions like, how long have they worked at their job? Have you pulled their credit? Work on that conversation. This is off the role play. Work on that conversation about how the offer goes. And this is where practice matters. You have to be fluid at this. Work on that conversation because that's important to a seller, very important. We're going to present all the offers privately to you. And if we get an offer on the weekend, we're going to tell them it's a little challenging for us to reach you. And then we'll tell you about the offer, but we're pushing them back to see if we can get another one through the weekend as well. We don't want to really entertain offer negotiations in the middle of the weekend when we have the most amount of traffic. We're always looking for the best offer. Okay, under contract, there are 3 things I covered. The inspection, the appraisal, and the loan commitment dates are real important. Now, when the inspections come, they'll be here. We'll turn over the house to them, blah, 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 blah. The appraisals, I'm going to actually meet the appraiser here. And here's the thing. This is important, guys. Pay attention to this one. John, it's not allowed anymore for a lender or a buyer or a seller to really have conversations with the appraiser. And that's because of what happened in 2005, where it was just very, very awkward and corrupt. However, once the inspections are done, I am going to remove the lockbox on the front door, and I'll put a combination on the side, of course. And I'm going to be here to make sure the appraiser can come in. This way I can have a conversation on how I determined my values, what happened, and I get to be here to help the appraiser. And what I'm going to say to him is this. I just wanted to make sure you had access. The seller is away. So I was going to be here. I knew that you'd be on time. I'm here. The house is all yours. Take a look. Please let me know when you're done. When he's done, my 3 comparables I had, I said, these are the 3 I came up with. And I wanted to ask you a question. Number 1, can you tell me if I was searching the right homes? I wanted to, and then I tell them my search criteria. Appraisers are usually very high analytics. They love teaching. They don't want to be told what to do. And you're asking them, this is important, you're asking them to make you better. I am not an appraiser. I'm not certified, but I want to have skills like you all do. I want to serve my clients at a high level. Did I go about searching for this properly? Here's what I came up with. If he wants them, let him take them because it supports your value. This is important. I also tell the seller just that. Loan commitment, we're on those dates. Preparing for the closing, the final walkthrough, I talk about that. Closing addendum. So at this point, I do have a couple questions for you. Sewer, septic, last clean out, didn't have sewer, septic, don't worry about it. When is your trash being taken out? Do you own the alarm system and the water softener? And let's talk about what's included. The fridge, the range, the dishwasher, washer, dryer, all that. I put all that in there. I'm going to put any notes in here. So now, what I'd like to ask you to do is I want you to give me permission to start stirring the water. I want to start working on getting some buyers interested, knowing not the address, not the home, but knowing that it's coming on the market. But I can't do that with your authorizing me to start the preliminary marketing. Would you do that for me? Yes, I would. Terrific. The very back page of the listing agreement or the pre-listing package is a listing contract. In this listing contract, you are going to notice there are things that are highlighted. In this one, it says use of a lockbox, conditional termination, $0.00. Seller can cancel at any time for any reason. I handwrite in John Jacobson. I handwrite in the address. I handwrite in the listing price. Right there, everything's checked off. I don't worry so much about it. And at the very back page, I sign and I say, John, sign this, authorize me to do it. Remember, you can cancel at any time for any reason. There's no obligation, but this gives me the power to start working on your behalf. And I sign it within a plume and I push it over. So John, let me go to work for you. John signs it. I said, thank you very much. I haven't checked it right yet, but I did. We're all set for photos on Monday. They'll be here around 8 o'clock if that's okay with you. Folks, that is a listing presentation. Now, yes, I can go into my big full-on presentation, but the truth of the matter is you don't need to because they're not interested in it. And if you give them a free listing package, which I strongly encourage you to do, we did that last week. Everything I talked about for the most part is already in here, as well as a lot of questions and answers. Now, it's important that you go through and that this part right here, the everything part, has your information in here. By the way, on the back, this is in there too. It's how to prepare your home for a showing. So John, there's some steps in here to do. You probably already know them, but just in case, I just put it down for more information. Contribution. By the way, I forgot to mention this. This is my bad. John, I will be giving the appraisal your list of upgrades because I want them to know all the great things you've done to your home. This listing presentation, this checklist listing presentation, in my opinion, is efficient, on point, and you don't bore them to tears. If you have this magnificent presentation, pull it out when they ask you to, not because you want to show it. Now, I think that this may be relevant, so let's see if I can pull this up. Maybe I can't. Y'all noticed in my listing presentation, you may or may not have noticed in it, but my listing presentation, actually, I can show you. This is good. And for anybody that has one, I need you to fix this right now. Sorry, that's probably going to make you dizzy. I apologize for that. Where does it say? It doesn't say our names. That's okay. Picture of Jackie, picture of myself. We should probably change those pictures. Marketing, nothing on me. Nothing on me. What I'm getting at is you're going to notice I don't show up here. There's nothing about me. I'll go down to the bottom. Oh, there's a picture of Jackie. Nope. Not here. Not here. Not there. Nope. Still don't see anything. There is nothing about me in there. In your pre-listing package, if you are selling you on the front page, you're arrogant. Now, that doesn't mean you're wrong. That's how we were taught to do it, but they're not interested. Right now, they're not interested in anything except about them. They'll be interested in you when you close the property for them. But if you're trying to sell them on you, that's not going to work because you really don't bring value to them except as a nice person. What you do is the value proposition. Okay, that's it. I'm going to open it up to questions and I'm going to redo this sheet so that you all have everything you need and the links all work. Any questions y'all have, please let me know.
I had to slide out a minute ago. Hey, George, appreciate everything you did. I had to pop out a second ago and I lost the links for everything that you posted in the chat. Is there any way to post those again?
Yeah, everything will be in the daily downloads in front of the GPS Global Partners. GPS
Awesome.
Global Partners page on that website, right in the daily downloads.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You got it, man. So I love doing this. Anybody else got anything they want to cover while I'm jumping through getting this squared away for you? Damn. Tiffany, it was important to me that you were on this. How'd that work for you?
Really well. Thank you. Nice to see how a pro will do it.
Well,
George, I have a question for you.
hello, my dear Fred. What's going on, beautiful? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Shoot, my friend, what can I do for you?
That syndication picture that you have on your listing presentation, do
Mhm.
you have that just by itself?
I got to see which one. The syndication picture. I do. It's actually it's in there. Yes, you can take that and you can the syndication where it spreads it out everywhere. It's actually an overlay. I took the image. I don't have the image by itself, but you can literally take the EXP part out of the middle and put whatever you want in there. I don't know where I got it, but if you type in syndication, you can probably find one that looks like it.
Okay.
And I also know, Natasha, that if you go to listing presentations inside of Workplace, there's 40 of them with PDFs where you can do a screenshot and take out different versions of it. So you might want to check there if you're wanting something a little more specific. That may
I
be.
mean, I have one from your older one, but it's just small. Like that one big.
Oh yeah. Right. That one's bigger for sure.
Natasha, hit me up after. I got one for you.
There we go.
Okay, cool.
Tools. That's what we're looking for. I figured it out.
George, I think it's also in the EXP Marketing Center too. I think I saw it over there one day.
Probably, yeah. So
I
I'm
wouldn't have saw it.
pulling everything up so I can drop it off for you. I'm sorry.
I say I wouldn't have saw it in the marketplace. I think that's the one part where EXP need to get a little better at.
Right on. I agree with you. 100%. 100%. I know they're working on it.
Glad to know.
Hey guys, that's all I got. If you check with the, what am I trying to say here? If you check back to the GPS Global Partners and go to the bottom left of the very first page, there is a daily download. This syllabus will be there and I will have everything in it and it will be shareable. So give me 30 minutes because I'm going to go work on that right now and not do my prospecting because I didn't have this squared away. So it will be ready. Tiffany, I'm going to turn it to you guys.
George, I have a question.
Hi, Michelle. Hi.
Don't you have so many days after they sign the listing agreement to get it into the MLS? Or am I wrong?
You do, and that's correct if you're signing it, but I'm actually not going to use that one. I'm going to send them an electronic signature MLS. That's one to get them to put. That's a great question. The reason I pulled that one out and I asked them to sign it, and I don't put a lot of information in there, is it allows me to do the pre-marketing, but them putting pen to paper creates a relationship that is a strong one. And that is my number one objective, to have them sign something. Same thing with the buyer presentation. I want them to sign my buyer agreement, which we covered in the third series, I believe. Yes, the third series. For that, if they put a signature to paper, pen to paper, they are more committed and bound to you. They have to mentally justify that you're exactly what they're looking for.
Okay, and then you go back and send it electronically when you're ready to get everything up and running.
That's correct. And I send everything at that time. That is 100% accurate. Yes, ma'am. You are right.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, guys, I'm going to get some work done. I will send it over to you shortly, Tiffany. I'll give it to you for the after party. Let's kill it. Have a great day. Tell somebody you love them. That's Database. It'll change their lives. Make your day better too. I promise you.